So for me, lobbying is a word that I rarely use. My name is Dominique Reber. I'm a partner in Hirzel, Neef, Schmid, Konsulenten, which is a communications and strategic consultancy in Switzerland. Lobbying is a word that is in many cases used to say something negative about taking part of an informed dialogue in a democratic process. So for me, lobbying is a word that I rarely use. I mainly use public affairs management or information or communications as a word, because lobbying also in Switzerland, not only in Italy, is used in a way to discredit a dialogue. Lobbying with a bad connotation or with a good connotation also in Switzerland, I have the experience that if lobbying is done by NGOs from the environmental area or from the human rights area or something, then normally media don't call it lobbying. They call it just like NGO work. But when it's used or when industry associations or when companies do the same thing, usually media discredit the same thing as lobbying. So it's a framing that in many cases is used to discredit one side and to not discredit the other side, even though they actually do the same thing. This is perhaps something that is very special in Switzerland. Delegations of the government are usually also integrating civil society. So when I participated in my role as a part of the Economy Suisse, which is an association that is representing industry interests. And at the same time, in the same delegation, there was WWF, also representing the interest of environment. But having said that, it's important to note that in Switzerland, the climate, the reduction of greenhouse gases is mainly by 80% plus done through industry. So the climate change discussion and the reduction of emissions is very important that the industry associations are present, because they also represent the most interested party when it comes to effective reduction of climate greenhouse gases. You have a situation just recently where we were discussing also in Switzerland the effect of the Fukushima event in Japan. And the interesting thing for me was that I participated as still a member of an association in that dialogue. And it was very difficult because from like 3 or 4 weeks after the disaster in Fukushima, it became more a political topic than a content topic. So parties from the left, parties from the right, everyone tried to bring in their position. That was a position from before. It became a discussion about ideologies around nuclear power plants. And the background as a political or as a part of this political discussion for me, what was very interesting was to see that the greenhouse gas emission discussion did not take place. So it just having an event that was shocking created a discussion that is completely different. And perhaps the second example that goes into the same direction, and that is of a higher actuality, is the war in Ukraine. That is a disaster. It's a disaster in Europe that is happening. But it's very interesting to see how the political and also the media discussion about security and about defense has changed within only a few months, and how much more important in Switzerland, for instance, the defense argument has become when it's about procurement of and support for the military and the armed forces. I think for most of the people, they have still the impression that lobbying is giving money to politicians so that they do something. And in my view, lobby work does only work if there is a democratic and transparent process. And this is also a question of professionalism. Let me put it this way. I am working in a direct democratic environment. So it's crucial that politicians understand where the people, the citizens, where they see things, because in the end they will vote. So for the parliament, it's crucial that all voices are being heard before taking a decision. And lobbying in many cases is just making sure that all voices get heard before taking a decision, so that we can actually create policies that will stand the test of a popular vote. And the more information you get into the parliamentarian debate on a fair, equal, and transparent level, the better the outcome of the decision and the stronger the support of the majority of the population. I give you an example of the corona policies. This was a unique case because never before Switzerland had a situation where the government had to take dramatic measures on the freedom of the people, to not allow them to go out, to not allow them to go to their events, whatever. So we had 2 popular votes on the work of the government. 50,000 people raised their voices, said, we do not agree, we want all these corona laws to be rejected. This is possible in Switzerland. So we had a popular vote, and it was very important that the population got very good information about what is really in those laws, and that the laws were made in a way that they were stable on a majority basis, even under pressure. And actually, the population in 2 cases voted with a large majority in favor of the government. And this is only possible if lobby is done in a correct way, open, transparent, accessible, understandable, knowledgeable, professionally. And I think when it's done in such a manner, the democratic process can profit from this information and this dialogue. When it's done in back rooms, and when it's done without transparency, and when it's done with power and money, then it's something that really stinks.